What's up, everybody? It's Justin. Welcome. I'm feeling pretty good today. I don't know about you guys, because there is a ton going on with Clovis behind the scenes that you guys are going to absolutely love. Okay, this one was interesting. This says, how can we create HGH internally, human growth hormone? How do you know if you're producing more testosterone or estrogen? So I chose this one because I just had a video consult about this. As you guys know, I offer private one-on-one video consulting. So long story short, what we had talked about in this video consult was, can you increase things like testosterone naturally? Or do you need like what would be called like HRT, like hormone replacement therapy? Do you need hormone replacement therapy, or can you make these things boost naturally? And the answer is, you can absolutely boost something like testosterone naturally. So yes, you can increase testosterone. Long story short, you can increase testosterone, namely by removing hormone disruptors and letting your body do its own thing. But a lot of people are pretty broken. There's like this epidemic of young men with very low testosterone. Division I college athletes are having huge problems with testosterone right now. Military having a huge problem with low testosterone in young men. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. I think electronics are partly to blame. I think nutrition is partly to blame. I think phthalates and all the different plastics and leaching things and deodorant, shampoos and cologne and all this stuff, all these estrogenics, right? Spiking estrogen in men, lowering testosterone. Here's the thing about increasing testosterone naturally through diet is, if you have a conventional medicine doctor, like a PCP, they're gonna hate you for it. Why? Because the diet that would increase your testosterone the most, or increase something like growth hormone the most, is going to be a diet that a conventional medical doctor would hate, because it's going to be literally just a boatload of protein and a boatload of animal fat, which would mean saturated fat. So as we know, these hormones, particularly sex steroid hormones, are synthesized with precursors of cholesterol. Like cholesterol is a precursor to all of these hormones, right? I talked about this in Hormones Finding the Balance, like the upstream and downstream effects. So I've joked about this before, but if like you want to have a really hot date tomorrow, then tonight you should eat like a dozen whole eggs and eat a 10-ounce grass-fed ribeye with some grass-fed butter melted on top of it, and eat a fistful of almonds and all these different things, right? Just to get like selenium in your system and a whole bunch of cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, and a bunch of protein, and start synthesizing more testosterone endogenously in the body. But if you want to follow that diet, you need to have a doctor that understands what you're doing, because they're just going to freak out and try to put you on a statin drug. So statin drugs are terrible for your hormones, right? So if all of a sudden you just do this high protein, high dietary fat, and dietary cholesterol diet to spike something like growth hormone or spike testosterone, then your testosterone goes up and you feel great and everything's awesome. And then you do a blood test for cholesterol. Your conventional doctor just gets like total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, doesn't measure any particle numbers, nothing, and just says, oh, now you need to put you on a statin drug. And now you're way worse off than when you started with just the potentially low or average testosterone. Now you're getting put on a statin drug. Your muscles are going to hurt. Your sex drive is going to go away. All sorts of stuff is going to suck, right? So long story short, you can impact your testosterone levels, your estrogen levels, progesterone, all these things can be impacted by your dietary intake. But the second half of this question is really important. How do you know if you're producing more testosterone or estrogen? You don't. You can judge it by certain symptoms, like fellas. We're going to get weird here, ladies, but I can't count the number of times that we've talked about periods on AMAs and menstrual cycles. So this one is going to be for me and Mike and any other guys in here to laugh at. But good test is morning wood. That's it, for real. Do you get morning wood? If you don't get morning wood, that could be something to be concerned about, but there is nuance here. So what will happen with some guys is, if they're not getting morning wood, they might be getting it, but they might be getting it at like 4 or 5 a.m., right? Or 6 a.m. Let's say you get up at 7 a.m. You might have had some legit morning wood at 5:30 in the morning, and it was gone in whatever number of minutes it was there for. And then you wake up at 7 a.m. and you don't have it. And you're like, you know what, man? Like, I cannot remember the last time in my life where I woke up with morning wood. Like, I just can't remember it, right? And you might think that that's a bad thing, but this could be happening at a time where you don't recognize it happening. That's super common. So what I'm saying is, that's not always reliable. So there are certain ways that you can tell. A lot of women can kind of tell where they're at in their menstrual cycle based on how they feel. But is this reliable? No, not at all. So the single best way to know is to stick a needle in your arm with a legit phlebotomist and get yourself a hormone panel. Get a male hormone panel, female hormone panel, and figure out what's going on. The blood work does not lie. There are things like a Dutch test as well that you can do. I tend to just do blood work. But yeah, anyway, the way to know if you're producing more testosterone or more estrogen is to measure your testosterone and estrogen levels, not just testosterone and estrogen. You want everything. You want your thyroid hormone, you want free T3, you want reverse T3, you want T4, you want your TSH, you want progesterone, you want estrogen, you want testosterone, all these things. You need to measure all of them. You need to do a full hormone panel, because the other problem is, if you just decide, I'm just going to take a bunch of HGH, or I'm just going to take a bunch of testosterone, or I'm just going to take a bunch of DHEA, right? You need to know that there are upstream and downstream effects to all of those. One going up might mean another one plummets. That's why it's always best to not guess with hormones and just get the blood work done, okay? Just get the blood work done. That's very important. So that is how you know. HIIT, is that a way? I would argue no, particularly if overdone. If you overtrain HIIT, you're going to have an opposite effect. Overtraining will always tank your testosterone. Overtraining will always tank your testosterone. I say that over and over and over to people. Overtraining will always tank your testosterone level. Always, okay? There are things like really heavy, low rep resistance training that would be much better for boosting testosterone. Fellas, if you want the ultimate hack, the fastest way to spike your testosterone through the roof is to get a new sexual partner. Science is science, everybody. What's hormone replacement therapy? Is that necessary, and why do people do that? Yeah, it's necessary for a lot of people.